Our slideshow is on bioremediation and the techniques and uses. My name's Mia.
I'm Sophie.
I'm Micah.
I'm Jackson.
I'm Jordan.
Perfect.
Here is the structure of our presentation. The introduction will be Sophia. The types of bioremediation is Mia. Applications and case studies, Micah. Challenges and limitations, Jordan will be speaking on that. And Jackson will be the conclusion. So, what is bioremediation? In the National Library of Medicine article titled Percent Strategies for Bioremediation of Emerging Pollutants, a review for a green and sustainable environment defines bioremediation as a process using bacteria, algae, fungi, and yeast to remove contaminated materials from the environment. BALA 2022. This is a method widely used in environmental science to address issues like oil spills, industrial waste, and heavy metal contamination. So why is bioremediation important? A common question asked. Bioremediation is important in many ways. First, it is environmental friendly. This is a natural way to restore polluted environments without introducing harmful chemicals. Bioremediation is also cost-effective and sustainable. It reduces the need for expensive chemical treatments, along with minimizing the long-term environmental damage. Scientists and organizations across the world actively use bioremediation to restore polluted areas. They use the power of microorganisms, plants, and enzymes for this process. It efficiently cleans up oil spills, toxic chemicals, and waste. As there is a high demand for the cleanup, this process continues to be an essential tool in environmental conservation efforts. Bioremediation not only helps protect the ecosystem, but also promotes a healthier one with a restoration approach.
For types of bioremediation, let's begin with the approach of microbial bioremediation. It utilizes microorganisms such as bacteria, fungi, and archaea to break down environmental pollutants. Microbial bioremediation is especially effective in addressing oil spills and organic contaminants. A well-known example is the use of Pseudomonas species, which can metabolize hydrocarbons found in oil. These microorganisms play a crucial role in restoring contaminated environments by naturally degrading harmful substances. Next, we have phytoremediation, which involves the use of plants to remediate contaminated environments. This method is particularly effective for soil and water pollution. Plants can absorb pollutants through their roots and either store them in their tissues or break them down into less harmful substances. A notable example is sunflowers, which have been used to absorb heavy metals like lead, cadmium from contaminated soils. This approach not only cleans up the environment, but enhances biodiversity. Finally, we have mycoremediation, which utilizes fungi to degrade environmental contaminants. Fungi are particularly effective at breaking down complex organic compounds due to their extensive mycelial networks. An excellent example is the oyster mushrooms, which can metabolize petroleum products and convert them into less harmful substances. Mycoremediation not only helps clean up contaminated sites, but also promotes soil health by returning net nutrients back into the ecosystem. Together, these three bioremediation techniques demonstrate the power of nature in addressing environmental pollution.
So now I'll go over the applications and case studies in bioremediation. And the first one is going to be an oil spill cleanup. One of the major ones was Exxon Valdez, which was an oil tanker in Prince William Sound, Alaska, who spilled 11 million gallons of oil and affected over 1,300 miles of shoreline. It's estimated to have killed 250,000 seabirds, 2,800 sea otters, and 300 harbor seals. Major environmental disasters such as this impact the marine ecosystem, and they lead to long-term ecological damage and are required large-scale cleanup efforts. Now, what cleans it is Pseudomonas crudida, and it's a bacteria that can digest oil hydrocarbons. For the Deepwater Horizon case, it was an oil rig that exploded and released about 134 million gallons of oil, which is the worst spill ever. With the bacteria, Pluto was put into the area and digested the oil from the seawater. Next slide. And another case study is heavy metal contamination. Plants absorb and concentrate metals like lead, mercury, and arsenic from contaminated soil or water. Persica junicea removes arsenic in mining regions in specific mining affected areas better than any other plant. A study was done that tested Brisa juna for removal of CD and PB, and it effectively removed the contaminants more effectively than others. Next slide. With wastewater treatment, we have sewage and industrial wastewater, and there's a multitude of pollutants in it from human usage, and there has to be a system to clean it for human usage once again. So in the sewage and industrial wastewater, microbes are used to degrade organic pollutants in water sources, which ensures safe, clean water for environmental and human use. And then you also have biofilms that are put onto surfaces to degrade contaminants through the sludge process and treat the wastewater to be then used again.
So there's some challenges and limitations to it. So there's some limitations to the microbes. There is a scarcity of data on the factors that control the growth and metabolism of the microbes that have bioremediation potential. And because of this, it's limited the number of bioremediation applications. And then a low number or a low population or a complete absence of the microbes with the degradative capabilities can hinder the success of the bioremediation. And then some bioremediation techniques that use chemical and physical means can result in an increase of pollution and site disruption, which can affect the humans that are nearby. And then there are some limitations on the environment. It has to be pretty specific. There must be enzymic action on the pollutants in order for bioremediation to be successful. And then both nutrients and pH of the soil impact the microbial growth. The right amount of nutrients like carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus, it'll increase the microorganism activity. And any minor shifts in the pH of the soil can have an effect on the process as well. And then temperature and the toxic compounds. The temperature can affect the microbial physiological properties, which can speed up or slow down the bioremediation process. And then high concentration of toxic compounds can also slow down the process, and it can also harm the microorganisms. And these limitations can cause the bioremediation process to take up to several years to be completed. And then there have been some advancements on it. In bioinformatics is used to profile the microorganisms that have the bioremediation capabilities. And then with nanotechnology, nanometers can be used to remove toxic substances because of their abilities against reclient contaminants. And then metabolic engineering, the bioremediation process can be improved by it, which because it alters the existing pathway. And then the costs, generally it costs about $30 to $100 per cubic meter for bioremediation.
but it can fluctuate depending on the site. For example, like types of soil, it has a role in the efficiency of the bioremediation process, and it can influence the cost. And then also the types of contamination. Some contaminations might be easier or more difficult to remove, and any unusual type of contamination, it could need further research, which could also increase the costs.
So a future implication of bioremediation. This is from a peer-reviewed journal. It reviews bioremediation in a marine context, so utilizing algae and other types of marine biolife to remove the pollutants. It begins by discussing the key pollutants, including like oil, steel droppings, everything like that, and then various techniques for use, so like different types of organisms at work. For the future implication, though, that it quotes, knowledge gaps exist regarding the interactions between diverse marine microbes and scaling bioaugmentation to address complex pollutant mixtures posing ongoing difficulties. So basically what this is saying is that they're at a kind of like a skill gap right now in terms of they can't push past and get through to that new technology. You can go to the next slide. So what we went over today, we went over what is bioremediation. So it is the process of using living cells to degrade pollutants in the environment. And then after that, we went into why is bioremediation important, including environmental friendly, cost friendly, which leads into the different types of bioremediation. So the first type that we went over is microbial bioremediation. And this is utilizing bacteria to take over more organic compounds and not pollutants. The next was a phytoremediation, and this is utilizing plants to like break down more complex pollutants. And then finally, we went to the microremediation, which is going over how they're using fungi to also take out pollutants. And then after that, we went over application and how it's used to degrade and remove heavy pollutants from soil and water. And partnered was this with the case studies. First one we reviewed was Brassica jankeia, which was used to remove the arsenic. And then finally, we went over the limitations. Some limitations include how it has a chance to create more toxic chemicals, and the enzyme action in the environment, and then the nutrients and pH have to be correct for that.
And then here are our references, and that is it. Thank you for watching.